All right, so this is the final category for our Dead by Daylight killer perk tier list videos. This is the utility category. I kind of threw the rest of everything that didn't fit into the other three videos, which were Aura, Gen Regression, and Blocking and Chase, into one video because I didn't want to do like an anti-heal category because that would be like 5 perks and it'd be like an 8-minute video. And then like an endgame slowdown just didn't really make sense. So I threw the rest of them into utility. And then maybe I'll do all the perks against each other, which that will probably be towards the end of the year. That's going to be a really long video. All right, so up first we have Blood Warden from the Nightmare. Blood Warden it's a love and hate relationship with this perk. It's really solid. So what it does is after the exit gates have been opened, they have to be opened fully, and you hook a survivor, the gates are blocked for 60 seconds. It also has the secondary effect of any survivor being within the exit gate threshold, but not, they haven't left the trial, but they're not outside of the exit gate in the trial. They're in that little threshold that's like about 2 meters. Their aura is permanently exposed as long as they're in there. So if they're in there for like 2 minutes doing whatever, teabagging, you're going to get a 2-minute aura read on them, which is also pretty nice. But the problem with this perk is survivors almost always 99 exit gates. Getting value out of this is very hard. You could probably throw this on 100 matches in a row and get value out of it like 12 to 15 matches max, maybe. So yeah, but when it gets value, and it is sweet, sweet value. So yeah. Up next, we have No Way Out from the Trickster. This is an easy S tier perk. Even if you don't get any hooks, the exit gates will be blocked for 12 seconds, and you'll get a loud noise notification telling you which gate was touched to trigger the perk. And then each additional hook you get increases that timer by 12 seconds for a maximum of 60 seconds in the end game, and the loud noise notification on top of that. If it's a 1v1 scenario and you closed hatch, this guarantees you the 4K for a fact, because you get the loud noise notification, you can find the survivor and kill him. If it's a 1v2 scenario, you'll probably kill the last two. It is a very good perk, very underrated. It's not used very much, at least in the MMR. I am, as a survivor, not a very high MMR survivor, honestly, but yeah, I just really don't see this perk all that often. Up next, we got Infectious Fright from the Plague. I put Infectious Fright right at B tier. It's really a snowballing perk, and it works very well on insta-down killers. Oni is probably the best user of it, honestly. Anytime you down a survivor, any survivor within your terror radius will scream, and there will be an aura flare-up, which basically is like an aura, like a loud, like, I'll put it on screen right here so you know what I'm talking about. It's called an aura flare-up, but I feel like a lot of people don't know that that's actually called that. There's a few perks that do it, like Ultimate Weapon used to do it. Nowhere to Hide. Anytime you scream, an aura flare-up happens, basically. So yeah, it's not an aura reveal, it's an aura flare-up. It's nice because it'll let you know if there's a survivor hovering for a save. It allows you to snowball. Even me, though, I'm a Huntress man. I love snowballing. It happens all the time. I don't use Infectious Fright, mainly because she has a 20-meter terror radius. So, you want a bigger terror radius on your killer when you're using it just to get more information out of it. That is not that great at the end of the day. It's decent. Up next, we got Rancor. I think I'll put Rancor right there. This is from the Spirit. Basically, the main benefit of this perk is the Obsession. As soon as the exit gates are powered, so all 5 gens are done, the Obsession is permanently exposed for the rest of the trial. Permanently. Just, there's nothing they can do. They're permanently exposed. And once you down them, you can instantly mori them and wipe them off of the face of the earth. The problem with this perk, though, is it pretty much incentivizes the Obsession to just leave immediately, because it'll say exposed Rancor, and the Obsession will know immediately, and they're like, okay, I'm out. Maybe you could combine Rancor with Blood Warden to get them to pop the gate right away. It also has the secondary benefit of anytime a generator pops, an aura flare-up happens on all survivors, revealing their location for 5 seconds. It's not an aura read, it's a flare-up again. Honestly, you could combine this with Bitter Murmur. Like, they should just be one perk. Rework Bitter Murmur and just get rid of the aura flare-up and make it an aura reveal. And this would be a god tier perk, probably like an S tier perk. But as it stands right now, it kind of incentivizes one survivor to leave immediately, denying you the 4K. But then on the other hand, that could be a good thing for you if you're just trying to secure your 1 kill. I would put it at C tier. Up next, we got Iron Maiden. This one's from Legion. I'll throw it in D tier. It's really great on Trickster and Huntress, and Artist and Bubba. That's pretty much it. You're not really going to be using this on any other killer. Trickster and Huntress, obviously, for reloading faster since it increases your opening speed by 50% when it comes to lockers. And then Artist and Bubba. Artist gets swarmed by crows. They hop into a locker, immediately gets rid of the crows. They hop out. You M1 them, insta down them, because this perk also exposes survivors for 30 seconds and causes them to scream. Not like that really matters. On any other killer, you're not really going to get the insta down. 30 seconds just isn't long enough. A survivor screams halfway across the map. Very few killers are going to make it anywhere to capitalize on it. Dredge maybe could use this perk pretty solid too, but yeah, I don't know. That remains to be seen. I'd have to check it out, honestly. Up next, we have Make Your Choice from the Pig. I'll put Make Your Choice right above Rancor. Anytime you hook a survivor and move 32 meters away from the hook, the survivor who unhooks that survivor will be exposed and scream, and they'll be exposed for 60 seconds. Getting back to that is really tough. It basically encourages you to return to hook, which survivors hate. Very few killers can actually capitalize on this, even though it is 60 seconds, and then it's got a 60-second cooldown. Dredge, I guess, could use it pretty well. Blight or Billy, but Billy can insta down anyways. So, you could probably get 1 to 2 downs out of it a game. I did a fun video with Make Your Choice Wraith, which actually did me really well. I was getting insta downs left, right, and center. So on Wraith, it could potentially be like an A to S tier perk, but at the end of the day, on the vast majority of killers, it's just not that great. I don't even know what you'd do to rework it, honestly. And then it doesn't matter if the survivor's injured who unhooks. Survivors will get smart enough, and if there's a healthy and unhealthy survivor and injured survivor, they'll just let the injured one do the unhook. So yeah. Up next, we have Mad Grit from Legion. It's tough. I think I put Mad Grit in D tier as well. So anytime you're carrying a survivor, you can hit survivors, obviously. You hit a survivor, your carry timer is paused by 4 seconds. So you pick up a survivor, you can only carry them for 16 seconds before they wiggle off. Well, with Mad Grit, if you hit a survivor, now you can carry them for 20 seconds. You hit another one, 24 seconds. It just pauses the timer for 4 seconds, so it doesn't increase any amount of time. Like, you can't carry it past the 16-second marker. It just pauses it for 4 seconds. And, you go through like a little weapon wipe type thing once you hit somebody while carrying a survivor still anyways. So you got a little bit of recovery. So, it kind of makes up for it. There was actually a really sick video where Atsdarva was using Mad Grit on Huntress, and he like downed the whole team with it, but that's not going to happen all that often. But yeah, I'd say a D tier perk. Up next, we have Surveillance from the Pig. I actually like this better than Infectious Fright. So basically, anytime you start regressing a generator, its aura will be revealed to you in white. And then whenever a survivor stops it from regressing, it'll be yellow for 16 seconds. You can combine this with Ruin and Oppression, and you can get an insane amount of value out of this perk. You can basically know where to go always, but then you could just bring aura reading perks on survivors, and you pretty much know where to go always anyways. But, you'd need a couple aura perks to know where survivors are at all times. You could just use Ruin and Surveillance, and you could pretty much know where every survivor's at any given moment, and then still have 2 perk slots to do with whatever you want. So definitely an underrated perk. Also has the secondary benefit of making generator repair noises louder. I mean, that's, you could just overlook that. It's not really that significant. It's not terrible, but it's not great. So yeah, definitely not the main driver of the perk. Up next, we got a new perk from Dracula, the Dark Lord. This is Dominus. So it just got buffed. It used to be 8 seconds, now it's 12 seconds. Anytime a survivor touches your totem for the first time, it'll block that totem for 12 seconds. Also applies to chests. Who knows why? Who cares, really? If I had to say, it's not a good perk at all. I definitely think it's better than those two. If you want a hex protecting perk, you're gonna want Undying any day of the week, because with Dominus, yes, they're blocked and maybe you can get the down on them and hook them, but they know where your totem's at for the rest of the game. With Undying, if they work on your totem and they break it, now your totem potentially goes to a much better spot that they'll never be able to find. I guess on the other hand, this can protect multiple perks. Just not that great in my opinion, honestly. I think it should be just changed entirely. I don't know. Thrill of the Hunt's better in my opinion, doubling the amount of time it takes to pop a totem. So yeah. Now, this will be our first A tier perk for sure. This is from the Trapper. It's Agitation. Whenever you pick up a survivor, your terror radius increases by 12 meters, which It doesn't really matter. You're carrying a survivor. It can also help and kind of scare survivors off generators, but it can also give away the fact you have this perk. Instead of moving at 92% when carrying a survivor, you move at 110, which is like hunter speed, spirit speed, so on. Can catch survivors off guard. You can get hits you wouldn't have normally. The main driver for this perk, in my opinion, is being able to hook near the action or just hook in better spots in general. You don't have to worry about dead zones anymore since hooks respawn, but basically you always want to hook near generators, near survivors working on generators, so that way you can disrupt multiple people at once. You never really want to hook all the way off in the corner. So if they do take you far away from objectives, you can get back to your objectives quicker and hook closer. So yeah, great perk in that regard. All right, up next, and undoubtedly the best perk from the unknown is Unforeseen. Unforeseen is definitely a really solid perk. This will be our first stealth perk. I'll put it at A tier. I like it better than Agitation, honestly. Anytime you kick a generator, your terror radius is applied to that generator for the next 30 seconds. Perk's got a 30-second cooldown. You're undetectable the whole time. This is a great perk. You don't have to worry about things like Trail of Torment, which light up the generator in yellow, telling everybody you have Trail of Torment. And then Trail of Torment also deactivates when a survivor starts working on that generator. You don't have to worry about any of this. This is a really solid perk, and it can combine with other perks like Coulrophobia that attach, debuffs to your terror radius. It'll apply those debuffs to that generator. So pretty cool in that regard. But yeah, definitely a very solid perk, and probably honestly one of the best stealth perks in the game. Because I mean, you are undetectable and there's a faux terror radius out there. I mean, what's not to love about it? You can get it off multiple times a match, like probably 10, 15 times a match. So yeah. Up next, another S tier perk. This one's from the Nightmare. Remember Me. So basically, anytime you hit the obsession, you get a token. At 4 tokens, it takes 45 seconds to open the exit gate, which is absolutely brutal. It feels so much longer than 45 seconds because you're not hitting skill checks or anything. And if you combine this with No Way Out, it is an absolute nightmare of a perk combination. But yeah, definitely an absolutely brutal perk. It definitely encourages you to tunnel out the obsession because this doesn't apply to the obsession at all. So it'll take them 16 seconds to open a gate. So basically, if you're using a Remember Me, you have to tunnel out the obsession. Otherwise, they can just undo this perk entirely. I think they could just drop that part entirely so that way you don't have to tunnel out the obsession. But, it's whatever. Up next, we have Hoarder from the Twins. Hey, I guess I'll put it right there at D tier. So basically, it spawns an additional 2 chests in the map. Not great. You're helping out survivors. Obviously, it used to have the effect of worsening their quality. I think it would be guaranteed browns or something like that. I don't really remember the old version of it. So you're giving survivors additional items. I guess side quests too. I don't know. I guess that's a little bit of slowdown. Anytime they pick up an item, though, you get a Killer Instinct proc. I mean, who cares? Killer Instinct is kind of worthless. I mean, not totally, but a little. I would rather have an aura read, honestly. It's just not a great perk. I mean, yeah, what else is there to really say about it? All right, up next we got Tinkerer from the Hillbilly. This one's kind of interesting. I'll put this in A tier. Oh, this is tough. Above or below Unforeseen? I'll put it below Unforeseen for one simple reason. This actually used to proc multiple times on a generator. All right, so anytime a generator hits 70%, you get a little notification that shows the aura of the generator to you, and then you're undetectable for 16 seconds. I still like Unforeseen better, but this perk is really good at stopping generators from popping because you get the little aura flare up with the generator, and you got 16 seconds to get over there of undetectable to get over there and catch survivors off guard and make something happen. Definitely a very solid perk. It's an okay stealth perk. It's only 16 seconds of undetectable. The main benefit is alerting you that you're about to lose a generator, and hopefully you can get over there and stop it in time. So yeah, great perk. Up next is Scourge Hook Gift of Pain from the Cenobite. Oh, where do we put this? B tier, I think? Yeah. So anytime you hook a survivor on a Scourge Hook and they get pulled off, they'll be afflicted by Mangled and Hemorrhage, and they'll be 16% slower at every action, except for vaulting, until they're injured again. If you injure them again, the buff goes away. You can immediately throw them back on the Scourge Hook again, and they'll still be affected by it. So that's a solid perk. I can't complain about it too much. All right, up next, we have 2 Cenobite perks back to back. This is Hex Plaything. And we're actually going to put Hex Plaything at the top of A. I think this is a better stealth perk than Unforeseen for one reason, I guess. Basically, whenever you hook a survivor, a random dull totem will light up into a hex totem, and this curse will be applied to that survivor specifically. They won't hear your terror radius anymore until they get rid of that totem. And that totem can't be cleansed by other survivors for 90 seconds. After 90 seconds, it'll be unblocked and every survivor can cleanse it. But a lot of people just won't cleanse it out of fear for Pentimento. And then at that point, they're running around and you basically have permanent stealth all game. And if you do bring Pentimento in combination with it, it's an absolutely brutal combination that is very hard to win against, honestly. But definitely one of my favorite perks and probably one of the few hex perks that are actually worthy of being a hex perk. And yeah, I just can't say enough good things about this. This is a really great perk. Also, it reveals itself to the survivor eventually, and it's 16 meters. So you have to get within 16 meters of the totem, and then it'll reveal itself to just the survivor it belongs to so they can cleanse it. So yeah, it does have that downside, but you know. All right, up next is Coulrophobia from the Clown. Coulrophobia. Where do we put Coulrophobia? I think we'll put Coulrophobia right above Rancor. The problem with Coulrophobia is it requires you to be in the killer's terror radius. So, well, I guess it requires survivors to be healing inside your terror radius. So this will be great on Doctor and Wesker. Everybody else is kind of mediocre. It slows down healing by 50% when they're in your terror radius and makes skill checks move 50% faster, which are really damn hard to hit, honestly. But again, it's got to be in your terror radius. Most survivors won't heal in your terror radius unless you're playing a killer with a super huge terror radius. Even then, you get some decent value out of it. It's just not that great. Up next, we got Furtive Chase from the Ghost Face. You have to hook the Obsession, which I get is negative points for me. You gain 5% haste for 16 seconds or 18 seconds, excuse me, and undetectable for 18 seconds. Now I'll put it right here because you have to hook the Obsession. I don't like having to hook the Obsession. Yeah, I'll leave it right there. Actually, I like that. You're definitely going to get more uses. Like, you will obviously get more value out of these perks over Blood Warden 9 times out of 10, but I'm kind of going for a scenario where you're actually getting value out of it. But this is limited to the Obsession only, so you can only do it so many times. It also has a secondary side effect, though, of swapping Obsessions, so whoever unhooks becomes a new Obsession. So, not bad, I guess. We'll bump it up a couple just because of that. So, yeah. Up next, we got Lightborn from the Hillbilly. Another great perk for most people. Where would I put it though, personally? I feel like it's kind of a crush perk. It's nice to just be able to turn your brain off because this stops you from getting flashlight saved. So you could just put this on and never, ever, ever, ever have to worry about flashbangs or flashlights ever again, which is kind of nice. I'll put it right at the top of B. I can't quite justify A tier because you can just flick pickup or, bury your face in a wall, but it is nice to just have this on and not have to worry about it ever again. So, yeah. Then we got Hex Retribution from the Death Slinger. I'll put it right, at the bottom of D. Anytime a Hex perk gets popped, you see the auras of all survivors for 14 seconds. 15 seconds, excuse me. And when they interact with the totem, they're oblivious for 45 seconds. So, that's great. But this could be, you could have 4 Hex perks. This is the first one to go. You get the 14-second aura read, and then it does nothing the rest of the game. Or it could be the last one to go, and you get like a minute straight of aura reading, which could be crazy. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, though, it's a Hex perk that isn't really worthy of being a Hex perk, in my opinion. And there's just much better options. Nobody grabs a Hex build and thinks, let me throw on Retribution. Up next, we got Deathbound from the Executioner. This actually just got a change. I'm going to have to look this one up. When a survivor finishes healing another survivor for the equivalent of 1 health state, Deathbound activates, causes the healer to scream and reveal their location, causes the healer to suffer from the oblivious status effect when further than 8 meters from the other survivor. One survivor who's permanently oblivious until they're injured again. Plaything is much easier to activate, lasts much longer, does the same exact thing, and is far better in every single way. So I'd put it right here. Up next, we got Trail of Torment. This is an easy A tier perk. Where would I put it? I'll put it right there. You kick a generator, however long that generator is regressing is how long you'll be undetectable for. It takes about 6 minutes for a generator to regress from 99 to 0. So if you kick a generator that's at 99, you could be undetectable for 6 minutes straight. The generator highlights in yellow, though, so survivors are going to know, and they're going to see you run around with terror radius, so they might just go work on it to stop it. I know a couple I've been in a couple matches where survivors just went out of their way to constantly stop me from having my trail. But it is what it is. It's still a very solid perk. And yeah, this is also from the Executioner. Did I say that? Yeah, I think I did. Because uh, Deathbound and Trail of Torment are from the Executioner. Up next, we have Dragon's Grip from the Blight. Dragon's Grip is so bad, man. It really is. Basically, you kick a generator and you trap that generator, and then the next survivor to touch it will be exposed for 60 seconds. So, uh, it's solid, but you got to kind of be camping a generator. Kind of incentivizes a weird play style where you're hanging around a generator, trying to get them to kick it. Some survivors just won't go back to that generator. It's got a 30-second cooldown, and if they don't touch it, you know, you don't even get to use the exposed status effect. It used to have an 80-second cooldown, which was insane. Actually, this is 40 now. My bad, not 80, 30. It used to have an 80, which was insane. But yeah, it's just not that great. Up next, we got Undying, immediate S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier. We'll put it right at the bottom of S tier, though. This is from Blight, by the way. An immediate S tier perk because it gives all your hex perks second lives. Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that. The only reason why it's not at the top is because if you're using it by itself, it's obviously not going to do anything. It'll be garbage. You know what I mean? It'll be D tier, lower than D tier, honestly. But yeah, nothing to say about it other than that. Gives your hex perks the second lives. Could put it in a much better location than where your first one got popped at. So yeah. Up next, we have Starstruck from the Trickster. This is basically the superior version of Mad Grit. Anytime you pick up a survivor, all other survivors in your terror radius will be insta-downable for the next 45 seconds. And it lasts, so it's got a permanent effect as long as you're carrying the survivor, and then it lasts for 45 seconds after you hook the survivor or drop them. So yeah, it's really good in that regard. Definitely better on killers with bigger terror radiuses since it's linked to your terror radius. You can use it with agitation because the agitation increases your terror radius by 12 meters. But yeah, a lot of survivors will just W key as soon as they find out you have this perk. Nobody's gonna body block anymore. Nobody's gonna take hits anymore. Nobody's gonna do any of that stuff, and they're just gonna W key hard as hell. So maybe use this on Dredge, Blight, Wesker, somebody who can catch up quick and try to get the M1. But yeah, I don't know. It's decent. It's decent. Up next, another immediate S tier perk from the Legion, Discordance. Where would I put Discordance at? I'll definitely put it above Remember Me. I almost wouldn't put it above No Way Out, but I'm not sure. The thing about Discordance is it's just absolutely phenomenal, and it gets a lot of value if survivors are sticking together and crushing gens. Anytime a generator turns yellow, it's because two survivors are working on it. It has an 128 meter range, so you'll see it no matter what. You can never be too far away for Discordance. And yeah, you see a generator off in the distance turn yellow, there's two survivors on it. It'll let you know that half the team is on a generator, so you can go harass that generator. It's always better to be chasing two survivors at once, pressuring two survivors at once. Definitely a great perk. Up next, we got Terminus from Wesker. The Mastermind. We got Terminus from the Mastermind. When the last gate is popped, when the last generator is popped, all survivors that are injured will become broken. And all survivors that are healthy that get injured will become broken. And they'll be broken until the exit gates are opened, and then a 30-second timer will start. And then at the end of the 30-second timer, they'll be able to actually heal. So this definitely puts huge pressure on survivors in the end game. This is definitely a very underrated perk, and it countered adrenaline for the longest time. But now that adrenaline's nerfed, I would honestly put it at the top of B tier because generally, I would say with the exception of like No Way Out, you really don't want survivors getting to the end game, and them all being injured could just stop them from wanting to go for a save at all. They might just leave, honestly, and they'll be broken until they open the gate, and then they'll be worried about Blood Warden, so they might just leave, honestly. So yeah. Up next, we have Leverage from Skull Merchant, immediate S tier. This was one of the worst perks in the game. It did nothing. It was literally a win more perk. We'll actually put it at the bottom. Oh, we'll put it at A. Oh. So why I dropped it from S to A is because survivors basically the unhooker of a survivor will be 50% slower at healing. So instead of taking 16 seconds to heal a survivor under a hook, it'll take 32 seconds. But I feel like most survivors will just realize this and they'll just go work on a generator. And then you're hurting yourself badly because instead of healing, instead of wasting 16 seconds to heal, they just work on a generator for 32 seconds and then they heal. And it's like, damn. So this is kind of a return to hook perk, but there's definitely been situations where survivors just healed and took it. And yeah, it buys you a lot of time. It is a very solid perk, though. I feel like people underrate it a little bit. People hate on it a little bit too much, honestly. All right, up next we have Ultimate Weapon from the Xenomorph. Absolutely trash perk. Wait. We did this for every other video before, right? Get out of my face. UW. Anytime you open a locker within a 32-meter radius of that locker, survivors will scream and have an aura flare up. Yeah, it's terrible. It's got too long of a cooldown. It was much better when it was an aura read that it was almost like nowhere to hide except for with lockers. You know, you open the locker and you could move and then survivors would scream and have their auras revealed. Now it's just screaming. It's just garbage. Honestly, it's garbage. Friends till the end from the master. The mastermind. Chucky, the mastermind. Friends till the end from the good guy. Anytime you hook the obsession, another person randomly becomes the obsession and they scream. If you hook anybody other than the obsession's aura is revealed for 10 seconds and then they're exposed for 20 seconds. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to do anything with this exposure unless they're right next to you for whatever reason. The vast majority of the time, they're on the opposite side of the map, and you can never cross that distance in that time. Once they find out you have this perk, whoever's the obsession will just actively stay way away from you. But the aura reading's nice. The insta down's kind of meh, because you're not really going to get it that often. We'll put it... I really like the aura reading, though. The aura reading's solid, so we'll put it right. And then our last perk for the utility category is Thwack from the Skull Merchant. It used to be an aura reading perk and a screaming perk. Now it doesn't aura read anymore. It just screams. It starts with 3 tokens now, which is nice. Anytime you kick a pallet or a wall, survivors within a 24-meter radius will scream. I mean, it's nice in some regards. Like, it can stop them from getting a flashlight save on you if you're kicking a pallet because it'll interrupt that. You could just find survivors hiding if you're like kicking a wall or something. It's just not that great. When it had its aura reading, it was still pretty weak. Now that it's got its aura reading removed, I'll put it right here below Deathbound, honestly. It's just not that great. All right, so that does it. That was all of our killer perks finally put into their categories. So we got Chase perks, which I just did, Gen Regression, and Slowdown, which was the second to last video. And then the very first video was Aura Reading perks. And then this last video here is the utility category. Probably towards the end of the year, I'll end up doing a video of all the perks at once to try and kind of... It's just so hard. I originally did this and put them into separate categories because it's really hard to compare a perk like what could I use for an example? What is a guaranteed S tier perk? I would say barbecue and chili is a guaranteed S tier perk. It's kind of hard to compare that to Remember Me. You know what I mean? One's an aura reading that activates multiple times throughout the game. That is huge information. And then you got Remember Me, which just makes gates take 45 seconds at its full power, which is still strong, don't get me wrong, but like, how do you compare something that's revealing a survivor's location constantly throughout the match to something that slows down gates by 45 seconds? It's almost like if I'm putting barbecue and chili in S tier, it's almost like I gotta knock Remember Me down to A tier. So that video is probably going to be a little bit more difficult. We'll end up doing the survivor perks in the meantime until then in categories as well. And then hopefully at the end of the year, I'll just release, an hour and a half long video on killer perks and then another one on survivor perks. All right, so that does it for this one. That was all of the killer perks tier listed and ranked for the utility category. And let me know what you guys think of some of these. Let me know if you guys disagree. Where would you guys put some of these? And that does it. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to that good stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one.